Hello everyone and welcome back to Cute Crochet. My name is Sri and in today's video I am going to show you how to crochet this adorable reindeer amigurumi. It's super easy to make and perfect for beginners. It makes a great festive keychain or the perfect addition to your Christmas tree. To make this you'll need light brown yarn, dark brown yarn, white yarn and a little bit of red and black yarn. You'll need some stuffing to stuff the amigurumi. You'll need some 4mm safety eyes and a blank keychain if you want to turn it into a keyring. For tools, you're going to need a crochet hook, a yarn needle, something to use as a stitch marker and a pair of scissors. So let's get started. For the head, I'm using this brown yarn. This is a 4-ply yarn and with it, I'm going to use a 3mm crochet hook, which is a couple of sizes smaller than what is recommended for this yarn. It's actually recommended to use a 4mm hook with this. We do this so that our stitches are nice and tight and none of the stuffing shows through. We are going to start by making a magic circle. To do that, wrap your yarn up and over your finger like so, forming a cross in the front. Then insert your hook underneath the cross. Take the yarn from the other side and pull through. Then again yarn over and pull through the loop on your hook. Now remove this loop from your finger and this is the magic circle that we are going to work into. Start by making a chain 1. This chain 1 does not count as a stitch. Then we are going to make 6 single crochets into the magic circle. To make a single crochet, insert your hook into the magic circle and pull up a loop. You will have 2 loops on your hook like this. Yarn over and pull through the 2 loops and that finishes 1 single crochet. Let's do it again. Insert your hook into the magic circle and pull up a loop. 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through 2. Now we are going to make 4 more single crochets like this for a total of 6 single crochets. After you finish making 6 single crochets, you can pull on this tail to cinch the magic circle completely closed, and this brings us to the end of round 1. At the end of round 1, we have 6 single crochets. This amigurumi is going to be worked in continuous rounds, so we need to mark the last stitch of the round. For that, I am using a paper clip here, but you can use anything. You can use a yarn in a different color, or you can also get proper stitch markers. Round 2 is an increase round. For this round, we are going to increase in each stitch all the way around. An increase is simply placing 2 single crochets into one stitch. So, go into that first single crochet and make 1 single crochet. Then make 1 more single crochet into that same stitch and that is our increase stitch. Again, into the next stitch, place 2 single crochets. Now into the remaining 4 stitches of the round, make increases, that is 2 single crochets into the same stitch. When you reach the last stitch of the round, remove the stitch marker and place 2 single crochets into that stitch as well. This brings us to the end of round 2. At the end of round 2, you will have 12 single crochets. Go ahead and mark the new last stitch of the round. For round 3, we are going to increase into every alternate stitch. So, into that first stitch, make a single crochet. Then into the next stitch, 2 single crochets. Then into the next stitch, 1 single crochet, then increase. Continue repeating like this. Single crochet, increase, single crochet, increase, single crochet, increase all the way around. Once you reach the last stitch, remove the stitch marker and place 2 single crochets into it. For this and every other increase round, you should be increasing into the last stitch, and if you are not, you must have done something wrong in your counting and you will have to recheck your work. Go ahead and mark the new last stitch of the round. At the end of round 3, you will have 18 single crochets. For round 4, we are going to simply place 1 single crochet into each stitch of the previous round, keeping the stitch count constant at 18. Now we are at the end of round 4. Go ahead and replace the stitch marker. For round 5, place 1 single crochet into the first 5 stitches. Then into the next stitch, increase. Again 1 single crochet into the next 5 stitches. Into the next stitch, increase. Now repeat this sequence one more time. 1 single crochet into the next 5 stitches and then increase. Like every other increase round, you should be increasing in the last stitch. At the end of round 5, you will have 21 single crochets. For round 6, place 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way around, keeping the stitch count constant at 21. For round 7, place 1 single crochet into the first 6 stitches. Then into the next stitch, increase. We are going to repeat this sequence 2 more times. 1 single crochet into the next 6 stitches and then increase. Again 1 single crochet into the next 6 stitches and into the last stitch, increase. Like every other increase round, you should be placing an increase into the last stitch. At the end of round 7, you will have 24 single crochets. Round 7 was our last increase round. For rounds 8 and 9, we are going to place 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way around, keeping the stitch count constant at 24. I am going to finish making these 2 rounds and then I am going to meet back up with you. Here I finished making up to round 9. At this point, I am going to put in the safety eyes before moving on. Here I am using 4mm safety eyes. Start counting the rounds from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Put the eyes in between round 6 and 7. After putting the first eye, put the second eye 3 stitches apart. I like to count the holes in between the stitches. 1, 2, 3. Put the eye in the fourth hole. I'll put in the back ends of the safety eyes and meet back up with you. From round 10, we are going to start decreasing. Make 1 single crochet into the first 2 stitches. Then into the next 2 stitches, we are going to make an invisible decrease. Let me tell you the difference between a regular decrease and an invisible decrease first. For a regular decrease, we go into the next stitch and pull up a loop like we normally would for a single crochet, but do not complete that stitch. Again, go into the next stitch and pull up a loop. With 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops at the same time, and that finishes a decrease stitch. You'll notice that that stitch looks a bit different than the rest of the stitches and it sticks out. For the invisible decrease, we are going to work into the front loops only. If you look at the stitches carefully, each stitch has a front loop and a back loop. Go under the front loop of the first stitch and then twist your hook around and go under the front loop of the second stitch. Then yarn over and pull up a loop like you normally would for a single crochet. Then yarn over and pull through 2, and that finishes our invisible decrease. You'll notice that that stitch looks the exact same as the rest of the stitches and it blends in much better. Then into the next 2 stitches, again make 1 single crochet. Then into the next 2 stitches, invisible decrease. Continue repeating like this. 1 single crochet into the next 2 stitches and then invisible decrease all the way around. Similar to the increase rounds, into the last two stitches of the decrease round, you should always be decreasing, and if you're not doing that, you have done something wrong in your counting. At the end of round 10, you will have 18 single crochets. For round 11, make one single crochet into the first stitch. Then into the next two stitches, invisible decrease. Again, one single crochet into the next stitch and then invisible decrease. Continue repeating this sequence of one single crochet and invisible decrease all the way around. At the end of round 11, you will have 12 single crochets. Here I am at the end of round 11. I am putting my stitch marker into the loop instead of the last stitch, just so that it doesn't get hidden inside the stuffing. After you have stuffed your piece generously, move on to round 12. I am going to take out this stitch marker and put it into the last stitch of the round again. For round 12, we are going to decrease into each stitch all the way around. I like to place a finger on top of the stuffing to keep it out of the way while doing this round. At the end of round 12, you will have 6 single crochet stitches. Cut the excess yarn, leaving a long enough tail for sewing, and then fasten off. Then, to close up the hole, I am going to weave this tail in and out through the front loops of all of the stitches of this round. Then, when you pull on this tail, it should close up the hole nicely. Leave that tail hanging there for now, and this is our head piece complete. Next, I am going to make the ears. Start by making a magic circle. Then chain 1 to start and make 5 single crochets into the magic circle. After making the 5 single crochets, pull on this tail to cinch the magic circle completely closed, and that's our earpiece complete. Fasten off, leaving a long enough tail for sewing. Of course, you will need to make 2 of this piece. Next, I am going to make the snout with some white yarn. Start by making a magic circle. Chain 1 to start and make 6 single crochets into the magic circle. After making the 6 single crochet, cinch the magic circle closed. Then slip stitch into the first single crochet to join, and this brings us to the end of round 1. For round 2, start by making a chain 1 and then make an increase stitch in that same first stitch. Increase in every stitch all the way around. Here I have increased in all 6 stitches around. Slip stitch on top of the first single crochet to join. This brings us to the end of round 2. Cut the excess yarn and fasten off, leaving a long enough tail for sewing. Through that same stitch, bring that yarn tail to the back just to make it easier for sewing. Next, embroider the mouth using some black thread or yarn. Come in from the back of the piece in between rounds 1 and 2. Don't pull the yarn all the way through, leave a little bit hanging at the back. Then go over to the opposite side and bring the yarn tail to the back through rounds 1 and 2 again. Make sure that it passes through the center. Once you're happy with the embroidery, you can go ahead and tie a knot at the back of the piece and then cut off the excess yarn. For the nose I am using red. We are going to make a French knot. Come in from the back through one end of the mouth. Don't pull the yarn all the way through. Then you are going to wrap the base of your yarn a couple of times on your yarn needle. Then go back down through the same hole and then out through the back. Gently wiggle your yarn needle through, and this will create a nice circular French knot. Tie a knot at the back to secure the embroidery. For the antlers, using dark brown yarn, start by making a slip knot. Then chain 4. Now if you flip the chain over and look at the back side of the chain, you will be able to see these back bumps right here. We are going to be working into these back bumps. Doing this gives us a nice finished edge on both sides of the work. Skip the first chain and into the back bump of the second chain make a slip stitch. This will be one branch of the antler. Then again chain 2. Skip the first chain and into the back bump of the second chain make a slip stitch. This will be the second branch. Then in the remaining 2 chains, make slip stitches in the back bumps. This is our antler complete. Cut the excess yarn and fasten off, leaving a long enough tail for sewing. Of course, you will need to make 2 antlers. Now that all the pieces are made, I am going to sew them all together. We are going to start with the snout. Before starting to sew, tuck in all of the yarn tails behind it like so. Place it in between the 2 eyes and sew all the way around it. To sew on an applique like this, take one loop from your amigurumi and then take the outer loop only of your applique and sew through it. Repeat like this through all of the stitches all the way around. If you want, you can secure your pieces in place using some pins while sewing. After you've sewn all the way around, bring that yarn tail in through the base of the snout and out through the back of the head. Leave that yarn tail hanging there for now. Next, I'm going to sew on the antlers. Take one yarn tail of the antler on your yarn needle. We are going to sew it on top of round 2. This is round 1. This is round 2. First, go in between rounds 2 and 3 and bring the yarn tail out through the back. Then take the other yarn tail of the antler on your yarn needle. This time go in between rounds 1 and 2 and come out through the back through a different hole than before. Then bring in the second antler, position it so that it's symmetric with respect to the first antler. Bring your yarn tail in between rounds 1 and 2 and then come out through the same hole as one of the yarn tails of the first antler. Then take the other yarn tail on your yarn needle. Bring that yarn tail in between rounds 2 and 3 and out through the same hole as the other yarn tail of the previous antler. Tie knots with these yarn tails to secure the antlers. Then cut the excess yarn and hide the knot into the body by pushing them in using the back of your yarn needle. Next are the ears. You can go ahead and cut the yarn tail of the magic circle. It has been sufficiently woven in. Then pinch the base of the ear and make one stitch. We are going to sew the ear on top of round 3. As you can see, this is round 3 right here. Come in between rounds 3 and 4 and then out in between rounds 2 and 3. Then sew through the ear. Come in through the base of the ear and out through the back of the amigurumi. Repeat the same thing with the other ear on the other side. Bring the yarn tail of the second ear out through the same hole as the first ear. Then tie a knot with the 2 yarn tails and hide the knot into the body. Lastly, I am going to take the yarn tail on top of the head on my yarn needle. You can use this to sew on a keychain or make the loop of a Christmas tree ornament. Bring that yarn tail in through the same hole and out through the back of the amigurumi through the same hole as the white yarn tail. To make a loop at the top, make sure to leave a little bit of a slack. Then tie a knot with the 2 yarn tails and hide the knot into the body. And that's it. I hope you guys liked this video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.